Retiring today is so much different than it ever has been before. There's 10,000 people retiring every single day in this country. And unfortunately, the vast majority of those 10,000 people do not have a custom retirement plan, which means that most of those 10,000 people stay up late at night worrying about how they're going to be able to afford to retire. There's so many different decisions that you have to make as you look to make that transition from the working to the retirement world. Many of those decisions are permanent decisions. And you have to make those decisions whether you're confident about those decisions, whether you have accurate information to help you assess those decisions. They have to be made. That is why I've written the book, Retire Your Way. This is your retirement. This is not your coworker's retirement. It's not your siblings' retirement. It's definitely not your parents' retirement. You have a lifestyle that you've grown accustomed to. You have certain ambitions and things that you're trying to accomplish in this new phase of your life where you have this newfound freedom of time that you've never had before. And you want to make the decisions you're going to have to make with confidence. So in this book, I've outlined what a retirement plan should look like, the different components that should be involved in your retirement plan. There are 6 of them. It should be your lifestyle plan, the income plan, tax plan, investment plan, Medicare plan, including health and long-term care plan, and then of course also your legacy plan. All of those components should be involved in your custom retirement plan, and it should be spelled out in detail. And I talk about those components and even involve strategies that you can consider to help you on your way to and through retirement. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read a brief excerpt from the book to give you an idea of what's involved in the book, and then I'll show you how you can obtain a complimentary copy of the book. In the first part of this book, I just talk about me. I talk a little bit about my history. I've been in this industry for about 25 years. What drew me to the industry, which involves my childhood and some of the experiences that I have lived. All right, so let's just start at the top. Chapter 1. Chapter 1 is about longevity. One of the biggest concerns of many pre-retirees is, do you have enough? Are you going to be able to live the lifestyle that you want to over the course of your retirement without having to worry about running out of money? So let's talk about longevity in Chapter 1. You would think the prospect of the grave would loom more frightening as we age. Yet many retirees say their number one concern is actually running out of money in their twilight years. This concern is unfortunately justified in part because of one significant factor: we are living longer. According to the Social Security Administration's 2011 trustee report, in 1950, the average life expectancy for a 65-year-old man was 78, and the average for a 65-year-old woman was 81. In the 2022 trustees report, those averages were 83 and 85 respectively. The bottom line of many retirees' budget woes comes down to this: they just didn't plan to live so long. Now, when we're in our working years, that's not something we necessarily see as a bad thing. Don't some people, in fact, fantasize about living forever, or at least reaching the ripe old age of 100? However, with a longer lifespan, as we near retirement, we face a few snags. Our resources are finite. We only have so much money to provide income, but our lifespans can be unpredictably long, perhaps longer than our other resources allow. Also, longer lives don't necessarily equate with healthier lives. The longer you live, the more money you will likely need to spend on healthcare, even excluding long-term care needs like nursing homes. You will also run into inflation. If you don't plan to live another 25 years but end up doing so, inflation at an average of 3% will approximately double the price of goods over that time period. Put a harsh twist on that, and the buying power of a 90-year-old will be half of what they possessed when they retire at age 65. Because we don't necessarily get to have our cake and eat it too, our collective increased longevity hasn't necessarily increased the healthy years of our lives. Typically, our life-extending care most widely applies to the time in our lives where we will need more care in general. Think of common situations like a pacemaker at age 85 or a cancer treatment at 78. Fidelity does this study each and every year. This year's study says that over the course of your retirement, age 65-year-old will spend $315,000 on healthcare alone. That doesn't even include the cost of long-term care. So this is a real concern of most retirees as they're going into retirement. How are they going to be able to afford health care, let alone all the other expenses that come with retirement? Wow, Loren, I can hear you say, way to start with the good news first. I know I've painted a grim picture, but all I'm concerned about here is cost. It's hard to put a dollar sign on life, but that is essentially what we're talking about when we discuss longevity and finances. Living longer isn't a bad thing, it just costs more. And one key to a sound retirement strategy is preparing for it in advance. Here's one story of a woman that illustrates this picture perfectly. Her mother passed away in her late 70s after suffering years from Alzheimer's disease. Her father died at 80 from cancer. With modern medicine and treatment, this woman survived 2 rounds of breast cancer, lived with diabetes, and relied on a pacemaker, extending her life to age 88, nearly a decade beyond what she anticipated. However, she and her husband had saved and planned for just in case, trying to be prepared if they had to move, needed her nursing home care, or needed to help children and grandchildren with their expenses. One of their just-in-case scenarios was living much longer than they anticipated. The last 6 years of her life were fraught with medical expenses, but she was also blessed with knowing her 5 great-grandchildren and deepening relationships with her children and grandchildren. She was able to pay for her own medical care, including her final 2 years in a nursing home, and her twilight years were truly golden. From age 85 to age 88, she was more socially active, with many visits from family and friends. She participated in more activities than she had in the 7 years since her husband had died. Her planning from decades earlier allowed her to pass on a legacy to children when she passed away herself. The legacy she left behind can be measured both in dollar signs and in other intangible ways. Living longer may be more expensive, but it can be so meaningful when you plan for your just in cases. And this is how I write most of this book. As I've been doing this over the last 20 or so years, I have seen a lot of real life experiences. I put their experiences in the book to help people learn from real life experiences. What are some of the concerns? When real life events happen, how do people react to those events? How does their planning or lack of planning impact the rest of their lives, impact the rest of their surviving spouses' lives? All of that is in the book. I hope you enjoyed the excerpt. I hope you enjoyed the book. To get your complimentary copy of the book, it's very simple. All you have to do is go to retireyourwaytoolkit.com. You can download the toolkit, which included in the toolkit is the book, plus an additional 5 retirement planning guides that can help you on your way to and through retirement. Let me know, what do you think about the book? What do you think about the toolkit? I very much look forward to hearing from you.